Hello and welcome to another episode of the Planet Elevate AI podcast, where we explore how artificial intelligence is reshaping industries and elevating the human experience. I'm your host, Imran Kadri. Today's episode is all about how AI is redefining customer experience, from personalized engagement to predictive insights that drive smarter sales and marketing strategies. Joining me is someone whose career journey is a powerful blend of startup innovation and enterprise transformation. He's been a founding engineer at high-growth startups and a tech leader at giants like Microsoft and Netflix, where he helped build cutting-edge solutions in search, personalization, and recommendations. Currently, he's the co-founder of Fankave, a company bringing real-time AI-powered engagement to fans and audiences around the world. Sashi, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Firstly, it's an honor here to have you here. Before we dive into today's topic, can you tell our listeners a bit about your journey from your early days at Microsoft and Netflix to founding Fankave?
It's an interesting journey. I actually started my career with a startup before Microsoft, right out of my master's program. So always like a big fan of startups, the energy, the pace with which we can actually do stuff fascinates me. Like almost 7 years at Microsoft, I was one of the early folks at Microsoft Bing, then came to Netflix for the streaming search when they actually started in 2011. It's been almost like 8 years since I founded Fancave, an engagement platform for audiences, mostly at like large events, like really large events like CES, Tokyo Olympics. We were actually the official fan engagement platform for, large industry events like, Cisco Live and things like that. Today, we would want to focus on a product line of ours called Fanvoice, which is the voice of the customer, a voice first generative AI platform. That would be my focus because that like really fascinates me. It excites me. The space excites me. The pace with which things are moving around me excites me. So I would love to share my thoughts in that space.
Yes, that'll be really good. If you can give us a quick story or a milestone on your journey that really defined the early days of Fanvoice and where we are now, that'd be quite interesting to hear from you.
One of the things that truly excites me is when your product actually is used by customers, is used by people, and when I see the results, how they get excited. But when the first time Fanvoice was actually used for an asynchronous survey slash focus group, that would have taken a marketing agency almost like 3 weeks to execute using phone calls and live meetings with physicians. That was just amazing. It just like blew my mind away when they were able to get the same amount of qualitative insights, deep qualitative insights from these physicians at a fraction of a cost, at a fraction of a time. And AI just aggregated all the interesting data points for them. Our clients were just like blown away. And it was so rewarding to actually see someone use our platform the way we envisioned. That's exactly every founder wants, right? Every founder, when the product gets in the hands of the customers, we're always like very near and dear to our product. We actually are bullish on our vision, bullish on our product, right? But when it gets to the right customers, which is always the hardest for startup founders, and when they use it the way that you envisioned, and when it solves the right problems, and they come back and just like say, "Oh, this was a breeze. This would have taken me like $25,000. I was able to do it for $5,000 at a fraction of a time, at a fraction of a cost." I mean, that just super nice. That always excites me. That's the most exciting and the rewarding part of my journey is when someone uses your product, when someone says, "Oh man, that was a great experience." So that always, and that comes from my stint on Netflix, right? Reed Hastings is an amazing leader. And one thing he always says is customer satisfaction should not be a metric. Customer delight should be the metric. You have to delight your customers. You should not satisfy your customers. That is just like a low bar for any company. So, that's exactly the cardinal rule we live by. Delighting my customers, delighting my users.
So can you just briefly describe the key features of Fanvoice?
We are literally disrupting the feedback market, I would say, right? Feedback has traditionally been very quantitative, text driven, right? You pick up numbers out of 0 to 10 for NPS, you pick numbers from 1 to 5 for CSATs, and then there is like this impersonal text box that you're supposed to type in with whatever you feel, right? But most of them don't. So it's a very quantitative numbers, right? So what we bring in is the authenticity and the unfiltered voice of the customers using just audio, right? You can hear your customers' frustration, you hear your customers' excitement. And during this journey, they also give a lot of deep qualitative insights, the reasons behind the numbers. That's what we hit on, right? That's probably the most important thing. Everybody wants the reason why that customer churned, why that customer left, why that customer is exciting, who are your advocates. You can see it in the voice, right? When you love your product, that excitement actually shows in the way you would give the feedback, the experience about the product, right? That's probably the key feature. But then the ability to synthesize and analyze these feedback across thousands of people and providing actionable insights to the businesses with the top three things you should address, the top three things you should be proud of, the top three low hanging fruits that you should be like going after. That is the key. Right now, 2 years back, that would have taken a lot of time. But now, with the large language models, with a generative AI, that is at the fingertips of businesses, right? Where your customer voice turns into actionable insights and a lot of workflow automation that was actually manually done. For example, most important pilot, and a customer is not satisfied with the pilot, to reach the stakeholders in today's time or even yesterday's time, it would take like days or even weeks sometimes, right? It has to go through a customer success manager or an account manager, and then it goes to the VP and goes to the engineering. Right now, in near real time, we actually automate the workflow based on sentiment, based on tone, based on the context of what this person's unhappy about, whether it's blocking their pilot, how their expectations are not met, right? That is the power of AI. Using AI just for the sake of AI, creating like a paragraph or like a poem or like a story, that's great. I mean, the creative part of it, right? But using it for productivity gains, for efficiency gains, for truly saving us time, how things are done, I think that is a huge opportunity in the customer service, customer support, and customer satisfaction, customer experience space. That is like a true value that businesses can tap into using AI.
Okay, brilliant. We've got a few other questions related to that as well. Obviously, I think we touched on this a few moments ago about personalization. What role does personalization might play in customer retention today, and how has AI improved its accuracy or effectiveness from your
So
perspective?
with AI, personalization actually you can take it into a whole another level, right? Now, by tracking the customer experience across different parts of the journey, when you onboard into a B2B experience, you can basically really hone in on the good parts and the bad parts around their journey. Think of a way, right? Right now, like a customer success manager has 100 accounts, and this person is literally picking and choosing who should I talk to, or kind of like, stretched thin talking to everybody else because they don't know what everybody is going after, right? By getting the right feedback at the right time during this journey and figuring out their sentiment and tone and their experience contextually, this customer success manager can actually spend time on the right person. For example, Imran had a terrible experience during onboarding, right? So Imran is an account that I should pay attention to. So when the pilot starts after Imran onboards, this customer success manager better pay attention to Imran rather than Sashi, who actually had a great experience. So Sashi is going to have a smooth experience. Now, between that 1 hour time I have in my life, should I spend it on Sashi or Imran? I would spend it on Imran. That is personalization at its best, because you know who is going to churn, who has a bad experience. Now, improving them specifically on their previous experience can give you an opportunity to go back to the customer and just like say, hey, we are sorry for the roadblock and the bad experience. We know exactly what you're going through. We will make sure that your journey is smoother than before into our product. That is personalization at its best, when you get the right signals from the customer.
Okay, just out of curiosity, there's a question here. It's about what led you to come up with this idea, what led you to come up with this concept, enabled you to develop this product.
It's interesting. Like, if you notice, I'm a very verbose person. I mean, nothing about what I just like say is like, brief. So I love to talk. Whenever I had this very impersonal experience when, you know, product companies approached me for feedback, I'm like, man, this just doesn't even reflect my thing. When I just like say it was bad, I can be like, it was bad, or I can be like, it was bad, right? And text cannot capture that. I really felt excited about certain products. I really felt frustrated about certain products and I couldn't express my frustration. And I also faced interesting problems when I took this feedback to upper management at the companies that I worked for in the past, right? They would say, oh, you know what? Customers always say that. Because it's just a bunch of emails or a bunch of like anecdotes that, hey, this person did not like it. This person just like typed this email or whatever it is, right? When the upper management truly hears the frustration in a customer's voice, it resonates at a very different level because it's an unfiltered voice of the customer. The product and the engineering teams cannot make up, oh, we hear it all the time. That bogus bullshit is not like valid anymore, right? That is actually the motivation, to be honest, to truly hear your customers. Okay. And that is morphed into, few different interesting use cases around customer experience, customer service. But that was the beginning where you hear your customer's voice. Everybody in the company can hear customer's voice rather than like, an account manager in a 15-minute meeting hearing the frustration of the customer.
And if you can just briefly talk us through, without giving any names, you might do, which is fine, some success stories of your clients where they've adopted Fanvoice and they've seen some results.
There was one healthcare company, I wouldn't name anybody, who had difficulty with their patients when to actually get their stories, right? Potential prospective patients. These are tremor patients and they're looking for cures and not easy to type, right? We provided our voice based feedback experience, what they're looking for, what their challenges are, why or why not, whether they would actually undergo the procedure that my client is providing. It was fascinating, right? It actually opened up new avenues for their marketing teams that they didn't even know that their patients expressed. They didn't have enough information. They didn't address the right questions the prospective patients even had about their treatments. And when they saw the adoption of this survey, voice-based survey, and when they saw the frustration and the desperation in their voice, that actually blew them away. That was a very interesting success story that I was proud of personally, because these are people who truly wanted some help and they did not know how to get it. And they finally reached their goal by expressing it the right way. And the client is listening. They are actually kind of like did some interesting marketing surveys, not marketing surveys, sorry, marketing campaigns to address the requirements of these prospective patients. And, they're doing well. And they are our returning client. Super happy with what we were able to do for them.
I guess a tool like this has a space as a place for people like me, product managers, product owners who develop products relying on, customer insights. From your perspective, how would this enable, I guess, evolution of products and services?
So it's very interesting. Just think about it. The way evolution, like the product evolution actually happens today is, say, for example, you have a new beta. Okay. What exactly happens? You have like, say, 125, 150 beta customers, right? It is impossible for you to just like quiz and meet all the 125 customers. You pick your loudest customers who always complain the most, and you kind of extrapolate their feedback to the rest of the things. Yes, of course, the data will provide based on usage, but sometimes hearing your customers is the right way, right? Providing them an easy means to actually get that feedback in near real time as the beta is rolling out is a fantastic opportunity for product managers to literally see how the customers react to this exciting product or to this new release, right? That's the thing, the near real time and the why behind the reasons why they like something or not like something. I think that is the interesting part of what we can actually provide. And the time sensitive way in which we provide that feedback is the interesting part, right? So you can lose or you can gain an advocate in those first few weeks by addressing the right issues when something goes out, right? How do you capture that? How do you capture that excitement? How do you capture that emotion? That's what we help with. And that would definitely make a big, what should I say, inroads in the customer satisfaction, because at least they know you're listening and addressing their concerns across the board.
Brilliant. And how might this translate into, say, along with it, the AI features of the product? How could this directly improve marketing, return on investment, or customer satisfaction? But in particular, as CEOs of organizations and CFOs, how might this grow the business and give a good return on investment?
To be honest, I would just like say this part of it, we are underestimating the value of this feedback, right? I would just like say this has a direct effect on the churn, because what we are actually doing is, rather than figuring out how this customer feels about your product and the experience a month before renewing the deal, we let them actually hear the voice of not just the buyer, but the user of the product inside the enterprise across the board on a regular basis. Imran, you just onboarded. Please share this, a few voice snippets on like 2 or 3 specific questions. Okay. How do you feel about the product? What are the interesting challenges it's solving for you? Right now, that's onboarding. Now I know that Imran is either happy, unhappy, or neutral. Okay. Now it's my goal to improve Imran's experience throughout every single thing. Okay. The first use case has been implemented. How does Imran feel right now? How does Imran's users feel right now? Or Imran's team feels right now about the product, right? Then 6 months. How does Imran's team feels right now at the end of the 6 months? Have they written the goals? Do they see value of the product, right? That is how a voice of the customer should be addressed, should be captured, should be analyzed. But right now, we don't have any cadence. It is completely up to the account manager's schedule how or he or she reaches you with feedback. And we don't have time for meetings. Let's be honest. Why are we doing this? If meetings are the way, I am absolutely fine because you get qualitative feedback from your customers. But you don't have the time. You want to scale. That's where we come in, right? How do you have an AI based interview where Imran gets asked the right questions? I get the right insights from Imran. And it's super easy because everybody is comfortable with voice. WhatsApp has voice based, iMessage has a voice based. People are very comfortable actually using voice based feedback right now. They hate typing. Let's be very honest. Why type when you can text? Or why type when you can talk? Sorry.
It's lovely energy levels there. Sashi, thank you so much there. I think we've got a few other questions coming through as well. And there's one around, I guess, the future. So looking ahead, looking at your roadmap, say in the next 12 months to say maybe 5 years, what's in store for Fanvoice?
The near roadmap is actually a very interesting thing we are working on, a very interesting use case that is actually an offshoot of this voice-based approach. Traditionally, customer support has actually been handled in 2 ways, right? One is calling somebody. The second way is just typing up your issue and sending an email or filling out a form to report an issue, right? There are fundamental flaws with both these problems. The first option is very time consuming. I have to be on a hold. And when I explain the problem, there is absolutely no visual context on the other side. You are the customer support person. I'm trying to just explain what is wrong with my TV. I have to explain what is actually happening, and you are not seeing shit. You are actually, I'm sorry, my language, but you're not seeing what I'm seeing, right? So it's up for your interpretation, and you just take that thing. Otherwise, I have to describe the problem, the bunch of lines. Sometimes it's easy to describe the problem, sometimes it's not, especially for a complex product or a complex machine or a complex service you're using, right? Why not video and audio based customer support? Why can't I leave a video voicemail for you? Just think about it. Your AC is not working. Take a video, narrate your issue when you're taking the video. And when I get it, I exactly know what the problem is. A lot of times, it is not even a problem. I can actually just fix the problem by just say, Imran, can you please turn on the thermostat? Or can you please just reset this? That's it. Because I have a visual context. I have known things. And sometimes I don't even have to do it. Based on the resolutions that have already happened for such issues, I can resolve tickets. We have run some experiments and we have some real customers who actually seen reduction in 20% of the tickets by fixing the problems, just knowing what exactly they're describing and what we see on the video, and saving almost 50%, reducing time to resolution for a ticket. Just imagine the one thing that video gives you is the person on the other side clearly sees what exactly is wrong. So there is no going back to Imran saying, oh, Imran, can you please take a screenshot? Hey, can you please describe this? I don't understand this. Why? Right? It's very simple. Hey, I created a user. I created a permission. I tried to just record this, but I'm not able to do it. This user is not getting the permission. When I see the video, I just say, oh man, you have to click that checkbox. Remember the checkbox here? You have to click this to actually make it work. I don't know why it hasn't happened, but that's exactly what we're doing. Seems very simple and straightforward, but hey, you know what? Sometimes simple and straightforward answers, we do tend to overthink a lot. So I'm super excited about that space. And that space is ripe for disruption, right? Because right now, I think customer service and customer support is actually broken, right? They put so much effort into everything that we do. And most of the times, this customer support gets the least NPS score or the CSAT score, right? In spite of spending millions of dollars, you end up with the wrath of the customers. No, they are not happy. You're not happy. Why? Can we just like do something different, something disruptive to actually help the customers?
Okay, wow. Truly inspiring and exciting times ahead there, Sashi. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
if
I
you
hope.
want to talk briefly about some of your partners, so I've got here, a really good list of names here, well-known names: Cisco, Workday, Autodesk, Terantic. The list goes on. If you can just give us a bit of insight into what's been like working with these partners.
It's very interesting. I mean, you will see a list of large enterprises, and you will also like see a list of like small companies as our customers. Again, there is no one size fits all. They all have different needs, and you have to be flexible in addressing the needs of your customers, of your partners. Okay, and the first one I just like say is to not have the attitude that the customer is wrong. The customer is never wrong. You need to tell them why things work certain way, why things are expected to just like work certain way, but just like don't tell them you're wrong. This is supposed to do that, right? Customer is never wrong. I mean, that's another thing I actually got from Netflix. You're developing a product for customers, right? So you can't just like blame the customers. You need to help them understand or do the right thing so that the customer uses the product the right way. So in short, having a fluid experience with your partners and understanding their needs, I think that is the key to success, I would say, right? And not just like say, hey, you know what, I have a support system, one size fits all, absolutely not going to work. Because the needs at different sizes and different stages of a company needs to be met if you are going to basically get a really good customer satisfaction.
Sounds like you've got a customer first, customer led brand, an organization, which is really good in this day and age. So that's really good stuff. Let's talk a bit more about your thoughts, having worked in Microsoft and Netflix, and especially with AI. What do you think are the challenges companies like yours will face over the next 5 years?
Companies like, see, this is the fundamental truth about today, right? We all piggyback on the top of these foundational models that the open ais and the anthropics and the geminis, the googles develop, right? And they let us use the models to actually solve end-to-end problems. Now what I do is we piggyback, have our technology on top of what is already developed, and solve a problem end to end in a very clear way. At some point of time, all these large language model providers like OpenAI, Google, and Anthropic, they're also going to come for applications. They also want to build solutions on top of their own models to address things. At the end of the day, they have to just like increase their wallet share, right? How would they do that? By building applications. They can't be a platform forever, right? They have to go into applications. That's when we would compete with them. At that point, let's be very fair. Whoever provides the right service wins. The reason why incumbents lose is they get complacent, and they are too big to innovate. They are too big to understand their customer needs. That's why smaller companies who are nimble, agile, who understand what the customer really wants, are able to make inroads into enterprises, into life of users, right? That's what we want to use to our advantage and solve these problems. And as we grow up, we still have to be nimble and agile, understand our customers, never be complacent. Okay, and that's one thing I've learned from Netflix. The focus has to be on the customers. It doesn't matter how big you are, right? If the focus is on the customers, you will always basically win. I think that's one thing I think Satya has actually done extremely well. He has brought back the focus of Microsoft back to the customers. They are looking at what the customer wants. They are addressing the needs of the customers, and that's why you've seen phenomenal growth in the last 10 years at Microsoft, right? Like, check it out. That's a phenomenal story, I would say. A company that size.
It is truly remarkable. Thank you for that. We now go across to our quick fire segment. So I'll be asking you 3 questions, and it's just the first thing that comes in your mind, Sasi. So what's one AI tool or app you can't live without right now?
Claude.
Okay, and why is that?
It's great in reasoning. It solves some of the fundamental challenges I actually have in doing certain things, phrasing, framing, articulating my thoughts. So absolutely.
Brilliant. And if you could automate one part of your day with AI, what would it be?
It would be sending meeting notes and follow-up notes after customer meetings. I'm a stickler for details. I want everything to be covered, and sometimes that takes a lot of time. If somebody can actually just like go into my mind and phrase a perfect response after a customer meeting with all the questions, everything that was demoed, what are the follow-up items, I would be supremely happy. None of the tools do justice right now. They're all great in summarizing, but they have gaping holes in a bunch of the things that they summarize at.
And our final question is, what drives your creativity? Because you come across very energetic, passionate, and creative. So what's behind all of that?
I don't know. I've always been passionate about anything and everything I do. And to be honest, I don't even know how people who are not passionate about what they do succeed. I mean, all respect for them. This is the only way I know how to operate. So, it is like, the motor never turns off during the day when I'm actually, I don't need coffee. When I get up, I have the same energy. When I just like go to bed, I have the same energy. I mean, I'm thankful for that thing, but I don't think I have any secret sauce. That's just me. I love what I do. I truly believe in what I do. I might or might not succeed, but I truly believe that this is an opportunity, and that drives me. That truly drives me and truly excites me.
Truly inspiring stuff there. Thank you so much, Sashi, for for your time and for the pearls of wisdom that you've offered in this podcast and your wonderful insights and sharing your experience both at Microsoft and Netflix and passing this on to the audience. Really, really remarkable stuff. Thank you. It's exciting to see how AI is not only driving better business results, but also making interactions more meaningful and human-like with, in your case, Fanvoice. To our listeners, if you're passionate about how tech can elevate customer experience, be sure to follow us for more conversations like this. Sashi, where can the audience find you?
So look for Sasi space Parthasarathy on LinkedIn, like Fankave. If you just you'll get it. The company's website is Fanvoice, FANVOICE.ai. The website gives information about like the various use cases we solve, our customers. Please schedule a demo. That's the easiest way to experience the platform. Again, our demos are not more than 20 minutes. You either see the value or you don't see the value. We don't believe in like 45-minute meetings or demos. If you schedule a demo, we'll be happy to show you what we have and help understand your challenges and see if you can solve them.
Well, it's a really compelling case you put forward, Sashi, and I've put, I've requested a demo already, so I look forward to, catching up with your team and yourself to get really under the skin of what's going on with Fanvoice. Really excited.
I saw it, Imran. I will respond to you your demo request today. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Yes. So until next time, stay curious, keep elevating with AI. This is the Planet Elevate AI podcast with me, Imran Kadri, signing off, elevating your business to success. Thank you.